Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and welcome to Dylan the Truth Podcast. If you guys are new to this channel, I'd like you guys to subscribe to this channel and also hit that like button. Deeply appreciate it. Today, my segment is going to be about Stephen A. Smith. Um, Earlier, I was watching a video of Stephen A. Smith on The Breakfast Club. He was on the show promoting his book called Straight Shooter. Now, for some of you guys who don't know who Stephen A. Smith is, Stephen A. Smith is a sports TV personality. He's a journalist. He has his show on ESPN called First Take. It's a debate show. They debate about sports. He usually has like his colleagues there, whoever he's debating against, whether it's about NBA, NFL, maybe tennis. But in general, they debate about sports, and that's what that whole show is about. And also, Stephen A. Smith is a very polarizing figure because a lot of times, he gets like mixed reviews from his audience. Like he's one of these guys, like he could be like a flip flop type of dude. Like one minute, he'll say something and you think that he will stand by it, and then the next, he changes his mouth and says something else. It's what he does. So he was on the Breakfast Club, obviously promoting his book, and the beginning of the interview, he was talking about some personal things about his parents, his relationship that he had with his parents. He spoke really highly of his mother, his mom. He said that she worked two jobs, she did everything she could to make Stephen A. Smith, you know, achieve his goals. And now look at him now, he's a journalist. Um, I mean, he did mention something about his father. He didn't really have like a great relationship with his father. I felt like he basically said that he wasn't doing things that a man's supposed to do, which he's supposed to be the financial provider. He's supposed to pay the bills, which he was not doing. It was all on his mother. So I guess, I can understand why he was upset because as a man, you're supposed to be paying the bills no matter what. You're supposed to take care of those things. But clearly his father wasn't doing that. And his mother passed. I think it was a few years ago. And he said that he was furious. And a couple of the reasons why he said he was furious is because he believed that she was such a good woman, and she did a lot for him and his siblings. He has four older sisters, so the mother was doing everything for her kids. Um, he was very close to getting a deal, like a big deal with ESPN that would pay him a 12 million per year to do First Take, which is really high for a journalist. Like, I don't think you've heard any journalist getting paid 12 million a year for debating about sports. That's actually unheard of. So he felt like if she could have held on a little bit longer, he would have taken care of her, give her certain things that he couldn't give her at the time. So I felt like he expressed that and he was upset about it, that he didn't get an opportunity to do that for his mother. And then I think like a couple years after, I believe the father passed away, he also mentioned that that he was really hurt that the mother passed before father because like obviously like I said just now, he didn't have a great relationship with the father. So I mean, he really got personal in the beginning of that interview, and I based on hearing all that, I mean, I definitely have to go get that book and read it because it sounds really interesting. You know, obviously he doesn't really open up about his personal life, so for him to do this is pretty big. Now he also spoke about like Aisha Curry. Um, for those who don't know who that is, that's Steph Curry's wife. He brought up a situation, what happened like a few years ago in the NBA Finals, the 2016 NBA Finals. It was the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors. That year, Golden State Warriors had a historic season. They set the record in the regular season with 73 wins and 9 losses. They actually just eclipsed the Bulls' record in '96. So they were the heavy favorites to win it all. Now, going into Game 6, Aisha had this tendency of tweeting a lot. And before the game started, she was tweeting how, they were held up in traffic and, um, things just wasn't going their way. And after the game, because Steph Curry believed that, calls weren't going his way. So Aisha felt the need to tweet on Twitter about how she felt the officials were officiating the game. Um, but Stephen A. did make an interesting point about that because he did sort of compare Aisha Curry to Savannah James. Savannah James is LeBron James' wife. With Savannah James, you rarely see her. You don't really hear anything about her. She's very low key. She conducts herself in a certain way with class, and I feel that's the comparison what he was making with that, and I don't know. People attacked him for saying that. I understood what he was saying right there because remember when you're making these type of comments, right? You have to remember it does reflect on your husband, your significant other, because remember he's a high profile player. So anything that Aisha says it will go back to Steph Curry. So that's what Stephen A. was talking about, and he was just like, well, there's a time and place for everything, and I felt like Aisha learned from that experience that year. And if you notice, she doesn't really tweet as much. She doesn't. She's not out there like how she used to be. And I think it had a lot to do with what Stephen A. said, and it maybe sunk into her when he said it, and she's like, "Well, you know what? He's probably right. I do have to conduct myself a certain way. Yes, you know, that is her husband. She's gonna stand by him no matter what. But at times, you just gotta, be cautious of what you say because we are in the cancel culture era. So any wrong thing that you say, that could be your career right there. So I didn't think that it was a big deal. I get where Stephen A. was coming from with that, but a lot of people were attacking him for that. And because of that comment he made, he didn't get his own show on SportsCenter, which would have aired, I believe, at 6, like 5 days a week, like from Monday to Friday. He didn't get that just because of that one comment. So I felt that was a little excessive. Like it was just his comment. I don't understand why they did that, but it is what it is. Then I have to fast forward to, I believe it might have been like last week he made this comment. Um, he was on a talk show, and the host asked him about Rihanna's performance at the Super Bowl, and I mean, he made his comment, and he basically said, I'm gonna quote him. He said, "One thing she's not," referring to Rihanna, "she ain't Beyonce." Now, you could look at it in a couple of ways. I felt it was a little unnecessary. He didn't need to bring that up because this was about Rihanna. This was Rihanna's moment. I don't understand why he had to throw Beyonce in the mix. Like they're both different performers and they both perform well. So a lot of people thought that Stephen A is pinning both these women against each other. I could understand why people would feel that way. But then he went on the show and he was basically saying that no, I'm just saying who I like. There's nothing wrong with saying who you like over somebody else. That's fine, but I felt that was unnecessary. You didn't have to bring Beyonce's name, and I honestly believe the reason why he said that, and a lot of people did not mention it or even touch on it, is because not Beyonce, Rihanna, she's not American. If Rihanna was American, you would have heard a different tone from Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, obviously, he's an American, so he's always going to be biased towards his country. I've noticed this even in NBA, what he does. He will never give Giannis Antetokounmpo the credit he deserves, like him being the best player in the league, because he's from Greece. He will never give it to him. He won't give it to Luka Doncic, who's another European player. He doesn't. It's like he can't stand it. Jokic, aka the Joker. Embiid, who's African. Like they don't want. Like he never wants to admit somebody, a foreign player, could be the best player in the league. He never does that. So when he said that about Rihanna, to me it brought me right back to those comments that he made about those players. So that's just how Stephen A is. But I mean, I don't like the fact that he put that out there because now he's making people think that, he's trying to create a division between Beyonce and Rihanna. It shouldn't have to be that way. We should just both celebrate them as we should. We shouldn't have to pin them against each other. This is just, it's silly. So he did talk about that, and then I believe Lala, Carmelo Anthony's ex-wife, was on the show as well, and she basically said that what I just mentioned, like we just need to just celebrate both their greatness. We don't need to try to compare the two and who's better and who's a better singer and who's a better performer. That's not what it's about. This Super Bowl is about Rihanna because Rihanna we haven't heard from in a few years. So for Stephen A. just to drop Beyonce's name in the mix, it didn't make sense. It's like I don't know if he was trying to cause controversy or I don't know what he was trying to do. But to me, I felt that was unnecessary. He didn't have to put that in there. Like he could have just said, you know what? Oh, I'm excited to see Rihanna perform. It should be a great performance. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, most of the people that's watching the Super Bowl, are probably only there to watch the halftime performance. I know for a fact a lot of people are not there to really check for the games. Only like the hardcore fans will check for the games. But I'm talking about like the casuals, the casual fans. They're more there for like the entertainment. So basically, everybody's getting what they want. You have the hardcore fans that's checking out for the games, and then you have like maybe the more music people are gonna check for the halftime performances. So everyone would be happy, So yeah, I felt that interview was very interesting. Um, I mean, you guys should check it out. I mean, it's something that a lot of people would find interesting, and for the fact that he opened up about like personal things, which I commend him for doing that. That's something that's a side I never seen from Stephen A. So I commend him for doing that. Um, but yeah, that's just my take on that interview. It was a really good interview. It was about maybe half an hour long. It was very interesting. I recommend that all you guys check it out. It's a really good interview. And I will leave it at that. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in to my video. I deeply appreciate it. Till next time, peace.